Ahoy! The new patch is almost upon us, and there are some things that I think are worth doing before and after the patch. So one part of this will stay relevant for a couple hours, the other part will stay relevant for a little bit longer, depending on what your priorities are. Now, what I'm going to do here is first of all just talk about what I am personally doing, and then we can also talk about some other options. So one thing that I'm definitely going to do, I'm going to farm a little bit more PvP track while I can. Farm this out at least, see if I can get another artifact. If you want to see that, I'm going to try and stream that on Twitch TV/SLOTH. Along with that, I'm also going to check the market. And there are also already a lot of movements happening on the market. One thing that I would, for example, definitely check out on your server, if you haven't yet, is the stat foods, something like albanaja or like roasted rabbit. I think this is going to be in very, very high demand. So I think a lot of these prices will shift, as with consumables in general. Another thing that is absolutely worth looking out for is prismatic blocks in particular. This is because they are used for matrices, and you can see, for example, on this server, we're already up to 500, and I think it's started around 300-ish. And then with matrices, we're seeing a similar picture. They actually have gone down a little bit again, but you can see that the majority is at quite high prices, so it could be very easy to just clear this market again and go much, much higher in price, which I'm expecting will happen if matrices are as important as in crafting as it seems to be. We're seeing a similar picture with weapon and armor matrix for now. They haven't increased that much yet. I'm thinking they will all go up a fair bit more. Another item that is worth looking out for is Ancient Glob of Ectoplasm, because as you can see, it's actually already going up a fair bit here. This is probably not going to last very long. This is probably going to see a significant push up as well. This is just used for rune glasses, and those will likely be in very high demand because it's now worth using rune glass on any gem that you socket, basically, due to it no longer applying a reduction to the stat of the gem. So if you want to have a high-end piece, you're probably going to need some of these, and there's some other mats as well. I've got a much larger overview of that in more detail with more explanations and other resources on my Patreon. If you want to see that, then consider supporting me there, but this is kind of a summary of the things that I recommended, of some of the things that I recommended that I think are worth doing before the patch still, at least giving it a check. Then another thing that I should do, but I'm not sure if I get around to it, are the storages, cleaning out some storages. Might do that while I queue up for PvP, but this will help you with your new items. I think these, as we have been told, will be nuked from the Albert completely. We will not have craft mods anymore, so that might free up some storages for me anyways, because I've been holding on to a lot of those. And then the other big thing is obviously gear. There's going to be a lot of stuff that will just be outright useless, that you can just probably mass salvage after you locked the important stuff. So that will also be something worth doing after the patch, just so you're not clogged up with old items that are not useful anymore. I personally am going to wait until after the patch in case there are any perks that for some reason end up being better as tier 1 than as tier 2. I don't know why that would be the case. I'm assuming the tier 2 perks will be better across the board, but maybe there's a way you can combine them or something, and that might make them more effective. And also there are certain rare items that I think I'm just going to keep just in case they ever get any value. Like, for example, I would keep a Motherwell's Wishes coin, because that's just perks you're probably never going to be able to get again. So some of them worth keeping in mind, some of them worth considering, but most of the stuff in the storages can probably go. And even with regular craft mods, we will see if these keep any value, because if there's a new tier, then I think a lot of these might also have to leave. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to end up using these whetstones, for example. As such, I think there's some cleanup to be done there. Another thing that you can do that I think is quite useful is stacking some faction tokens, and specifically pre-stacking quests. So what you can do here is, as you can see, I'm very, very close to the cap right now, but I can grab these 3 quests. I'm going to do that later, basically last thing I do, and just go over to the area where the quests are, fulfill the quests, come back, but don't hand them in, so that I get another bonus applied when I hand them in. In my case, I've actually used 2 bonuses today, which wasn't the smartest move, but since I'm logging back in tomorrow probably, I might be fine and just get 3 stacked quests. On the other hand, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing this in Brimstone, because I am a bit worried that the login servers might be a problem in Brimstone, because I think most people will log out on Brimstone, clearly with the zone being right over here and everything. And I think as such it might be a good idea to not log out in Brimstone, because I'm not exactly sure how the login server split for different areas works now, how the clusters work, but I think they still exist to some degree, and I think they might affect the login queues. So I'm probably gonna go somewhere south, so maybe I will do the faction quests in Cutlass Keys instead, so I can log out there. So I'm very far away from where everyone else is, and then hopefully dodge any potential queues that could come from being in the wrong cluster on that world. And then I can just teleport up to Brimstone, and that shouldn't be a problem. Just my thought anyway. If you are enjoying this information so far, if you think this is helpful, then consider subscribing and click the bell so you get notified of other upcoming videos. And now we're getting to the other half, which is what to do after the patch. And again, this is what I'm personally doing, that's what I'm recommending. Doesn't mean you need to do the exact same thing, but there are a few options. So what I think is the most important thing for anyone who wants to get quick leverage and gear up quickly and be as prepared as possible would be to farm umbral crystals as fast as possible. Because if they don't change the timing, our weekly reset is going to be a day after the patch roughly, or less than a day after the patch. We don't know if this will actually be the case this time, or if they have possibly reset that somehow so it's going to be in line with the patch. That might change things, but I'm at least going to try. And if that happens to be worth it, then I'll be happy that I invested my time in the right thing right away. Because from what it looks like, you should be able to just reach the cap on day 1 and then spend those umbrals and reach the cap again on day 2, basically, if you grind enough. I'm not assuming that you need to rush the second one that much, because you can just do it across the week. But for the first one, you only have a day before the cap resets. So I think there are a couple of different things worth trying. One thing would be chest runs, because the question is if only the new zone will count for any kind of chest-related activities, or if, for example, Brimstone Sands, which is still a higher level zone, would count as well, if the chests here would count as well, and would be something that could potentially also give you umbral crystals. If so, that's a very, very easy way to do it. If it's only in the new zone, it's probably not an easy way to do it, and probably not worth it, because you don't know the chest locations, you don't know the chest path. There might be things that you need to get first, like in Brimstone, certain glyphs that you need to unlock the chests. They have actually shown that you need certain glyphs to unlock the chest. So before you've done all that, and you're ready and prepared to do that quickly and efficiently, I'm gonna assume there are probably other activities that are easier and more efficient to do. One of the activities that I will absolutely try out, just because I want to try it out in general, but also because I expect the rewards to hopefully be decent in that regard, is Catacombs. It is the new thing anyway, so might as well see how good it is for umbral crystals. And if that doesn't work too well, then the next thing that I would try out is just doing mutations, particularly M1s, because I think the time versus reward might be one of the best for shard farm specifically, or crystal farm specifically. Might be wrong, it might be that they've changed that to like M2 or M3, but I'm just gonna try and see what happens if I do some very, very quick runs, just to get it done as fast as possible, get in, get out, and just spam it over and over. And I'm also gonna try not just the regular mutation or the regular M1, but I'm also going to try if the group finder expeditions, maybe even the normal expeditions, if these bonus caches are potentially worth it for umbral crystals, and the same thing for mutated expeditions, see if this bonus cache might be worth it. Constraint I might run into here is that potentially actually could be required to be level 70 to do certain expeditions now or something, but I don't think that will be the case so far, I hope at least. And I won't worry too much about the attempts, because at the end of the day, the attempts will also reset a day later, if the reset happens, and then that won't be a problem at all. And another thing that I will definitely try out is on the PvP side. That would be 3v3 Arena. I think 3v3 Arena can be very nice if you win enough and the matches are fast enough, and I think more people will be queuing in general, then this could be an activity that could be very worth it. Definitely one that I have an eye out for. And in the same vein, absolutely going to try Outpost Rush, just because Outpost Rush always has some of the higher rewards at the moment, so they might have a pretty decent multiplayer for the Umbral Crystals as well. And then another thing that I am considering that I am not entirely sure about yet, that depends on how things are looking in general, is possibly doing the old raids, or at least the old raid as in the, not the Tribe of the Devourer, the other one, the Hive of the Gorgons. And I'm hoping that maybe that will give you the reward consistently, because they have said there is no cap on the rewards anymore. So you could just do that a couple of times and get your Umbral Crystals that way, and maybe get some new interesting items as well, hopefully. Something that maybe makes it worth it in another way. So that is my main focus. That is what I'm gonna do on the first day. And then after the reset happens, when I'm no longer in a rush to get Umbral Crystals, I'm going to probably do the main story quest, just to do the progression, get the gear from the main story quest, and enjoy the new storyline. And maybe also try the new raid. And also probably queue some more 3v3s, because if the queues are popping in Australia, I'm going to use that opportunity. So yeah, I think that's my plan. I think that is what I think I would recommend, at least for anyone aiming to progress relatively fast without being like super sweaty about it. And yeah, maybe that will help you. Hopefully this was useful information. If so, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you get notified of other upcoming videos about the expansion. And if you'd like to support me further and get the more detailed trading tips, you can do so on Patreon. Thanks to all of my patrons who really do exactly that, and thank you very much for watching. Duke Sloth, out.